there's been so many traders over the years that told me that if they had just followed their system all the time, they would be better off than micromanaging or tweaking trades all the time. They want to tweak trades and they want to manage to try to get more profit, but they're always, most of the time, better off not doing anything.
Right. Most traders, I would say 95% of traders are much better off going for reward at least twice their risk. And that means just patiently sitting there. And sometimes the trade will go a little your way, a little against you, a little for, it'll take time. But if you patiently just rely on your stop and have a profit taking limit order, and if you're watching, as long as the trade looks reasonably good, you just sit there and just patiently wait. That's that thing I was talking about Warren Buffett. You can't make a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. You got to be patient. As a scalper, I scalp a lot. I also swing trade a lot, but as a scalper, it's an entirely different game. You can only scalp there's 3 variables: risk, reward, and probability. And as a scalper, you're going for reward, right? So if you're going for a small reward, a lot of times, most of the time, the risk is greater than the reward. That tells you that your risk-reward ratio is terrible. And how can you make money if you have a terrible risk-reward ratio? Probability. You have to be able to find high probability trades, which most people cannot do. So most people should not be scalpers. But if you can find high probability trades, you can do very well as a scalper. There are also tricks you can do as a scalper to increase your probability. One is scaling in. So if you buy and it goes a little bit against you and your premise is still valid and emotionally you can handle it and your account size is big enough, you can buy more. And yes, it's increasing your risk, but it's also increasing the probability that you'll make money.
Do you prefer one trading style over the other? Like, do you prefer scalping to trading higher time frame?
I do both. And for example, I like to hold option positions in stocks or in stock index, or ETFs like the SPDR, SPY. And I'm currently holding several option positions. And when I do that, I'm swing trading for the most part. Sometimes I'll rarely day trade options. For example, if the market is just totally crashing down, but I think it's going to have a climactic reversal on a 5-minute chart. When that happens, it only happens a few times a year. A lot of times I'll buy calls, thinking that worst case is the calls will become zero, but at least I know that I cannot lose too much. And if the market does what I think it will do and reverse up sharply, I can make a lot of money. So the risk reward is very good and the probability is very good. But for the most part, when I'm trading options, I'm using daily charts or weekly charts, and I'm just looking for patterns. So if the market is strongly breaking out to the upside, I'll buy calls or a call spread. If I think the market is in a bear trend and it's pulling back, bouncing, I'll buy puts or a put spread. If I think it's about to reverse, then for example, if there's a wedge bottom and it's at a support level, I'll buy calls or a call spread. Mm-hmm. And so that is most of my swing trading on the daily and weekly charts.
And the scalping is different or similar strategies and systems?
I use the same patterns. What's different is you can only scalp if you can structure a high probability trade. And that's why most people cannot scalp. They cannot structure high probability trades, so they can't process the information fast enough to determine that a trade is high probability. I trade the E-mini, S&P 500 stock index futures all day long. And in the day session, there are 81 bars every day. And I, on an average day, probably see 40 or 50 reasonable scalps. So pretty much on every other bar. I don't take all those trades. When I was your age, I took a lot of trades, but now where I am in life, I don't take that many. I probably take 10 to 20 trades a day. But there is an incredible amount of opportunity on every chart if you know how to read the charts. And it's amazing. It's amazing how much the market is telling us, but you have to know how to read the charts.